Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Aquarian Radio Network, Aquarian Media Enterprises, and I'm your host, Janet Care Lessin, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Alex Lessin. Hi, and Dr. Lessin and I studied with Zechariah Sitchin, and Mr. Sitchin asked us to create an educational program, which was many, many years ago. He's been deceased for over 10 years now. So we're here following up on our promise to Mr. Sitchin. So Dr. Lessin and I are beginning this series of educational programs on the Anunnaki. And today's first episode is going to be about Inanna. So what would you like to say about Inanna before I launch the share screen and talk to Kim?
I think we'll just launch the share
Okay,
screen.
here we go. We're going to share screen. Let's see if this works. No, that didn't work. Here we go. There it goes. Okay.
So Inanna has been referred to as the Anunnaki Wonder Woman. She conquered her world. Okay, so I'm going to advance the slides. That works. Didn't do a thing. Let's try again. Let's try this one. How do you do this one? Click.
There.
Okay. So who's Inanna? She's part of a group called the Anunnaki. They came here from the planet Nibiru. They came for gold. They made some slaves to work gold for them. That's us. And their boss wanted us all to get killed during Noah's flood, but they decided they wouldn't do that, and they'd repopulate and have plenty of slaves. And they started fighting among each other and using us to fight their wars. They nuked and radiated their whole area and left most of it to their exiled prince, Marduk, who many people call Satan. Okay. And how do we know this stuff? My teacher, Janet Lee, and I have studied with Zechariah Sitchin, looked at the clay tablets. He has and cylinder seals. He's got the biggest collection of these things in the Sumerian, Akkadian, and other languages. He found records that give us a pretty good idea of what happened from some 500,000 years BCE on. So there's a blow up of one of these tabs. They're really just small enough to fit in your hand. But this is a very important one. There's Zechariah Sitchin. He's circled there. There's a representation of our solar system, including planets that Sumerians could not possibly have seen because they lacked telescopes. So it was what the Anunnaki, these people, told them the heavens were like. Okay. So this, when we say Anunnaki, we're talking about a royal house, just like we have here. And the story here is about Inanna. That's this person in red. She's related to all the big shots, and we'll get to see more about that as we progress. So Inanna was this princess who was born on Earth and raised on Earth. And she's one of these people, descendants of the Anunnaki, the people who I just talked about. And she fell in love with a guy from the other lineage, the rival lineage, at the wedding of Marduk. That's where they really turned on to each other. And there were different lineages, you know, like the Montagues and the Capulets. And she made friends with what she thought was going to possibly be her future sister-in-law, because she wanted to marry this chick's brother. And so Inanna, that's who the story's about, tells Justiniana, who's the sister of DUMUZI, and also Marduk, whose wedding it is. Look, you know, I'm gonna marry your brother, and together we're gonna rule Northeast Africa. So Justiniana hears that, and of course she's loyal to her brother. Let's go to the next one. And so her brother, she tells brother Marduk, hey, you know what Inanna told me? Well, Marduk doesn't want DUMUZI to keep crowding him, because DUMUZI is getting to be a favorite with Dad, Enki. And so she's and she's really into Marduk. And so Justiniana said, okay, what do you want me to do? look, I want you to seduce DUMUZI. And then after you get his seeds, yell rape, and I'll have my guys come arrest him, and I'll get him out of my hair. So that's the plot. And the problem was that they didn't arrest him. He got killed running away. So Inanna winds up in chasing Marduk all around the Giza pyramid. At some point, Marduk says, okay, I didn't do it, you know. I didn't tell those guys to kill DUMUZI. And so, well, then give up. Okay, I'll give up. And people had caught him and said, okay, we're going to sentence you to death to die in the pyramid. The king of Nibiru said, don't you dare kill my nephew. Just exile him to Ohio or something. Okay. Okay, later on, the king from Nibiru comes and he commutes the you don't have to just stay in exile. I'm going to let you come back to that. But anyway, Inanna, in the meantime, goes down to her sister's place in South Africa. If she can get her sister's husband to make a baby with her, she'll count that baby as though it's DUMUZI's. That's called leverage. And then she'll control Northeast Africa because she's a powerful person and she wants to control that wonderful area in Northeast Africa. However, the sister, Erishkigal, says, no way, and she kills Inanna, but Enki sends robots and they rescue Inanna and she's saved. So the story goes. Later on, the king of Nibiru comes to Earth. He's coming to visit Earth. This is a representation of that. And when he gets there, his queen, Antu, teaches Inanna all the tantra, wonderful tantra stuff that Inanna can do to really please her husband, King Anu, because and the clan is going to all hold hands and be with them while they couple, and they're going to all raise their whole clan's energy. And so they go through with that, and so Anu is so happy. He gives Inanna the temple that they had this ceremony in. He gives her the rocket ship that he brought because he was going to survey the Earth, which he did. And he said he was going to develop the Indus Valley, and that would belong to Inanna. She could that would be the breadbasket, as it were, of the old world. Well, Inanna had decided she was going to really make things work. And so there's a representation of Inanna. And there she is with the king. It's a wonderful ceremony. That was their trip. And there's a representation of Inanna's temple. It starts out just being a temple, but she's going to do more than that. In the meantime, while the king is there, he flies from the Middle East. He goes up to Tiwanaku, and he pardons Marduk. So Marduk, you can come back. So Inanna now says, I'm going to make. I want more than just a temple. I want a city like Nerta and some of the other guys got. And so she makes a date with Enki. She gets him drunk, and she says, I got all kinds of things I learned, but you don't know. But you got to give me another one of your master computer programs before I let you do that with me, and so forth. They went on and on. And it gets drunker and drunker, and Inanna's getting more and more of these programs for each thing that she does. And after a while, he passes out, and off she goes. When he wakes up, he chases her. They catch her, but everybody said, no, it was a fair exchange. They're hers now. And so then around that temple, there it is, the temple you saw, she built this whole city, great city of Uruk. And she's now ruling the Indus Valley, modern Pakistan. And there's just incredibly, and she's got all these tantric tricks that she learned when she was trained. She's having a good time, showing everybody these tricks, and she's commuting back and forth between the Indus Valley. There's one of the cities. This is called Dolavira. You can see that they have water. They have wonderful plumbing. These are sanitary, beautiful places. There's tantric temples in her cities. They had communal baths. This is Mohenjo-Daro, I think. Okay, so and she's flying back and forth between Uruk in Mesopotamia, in what we would call Iraq, and the Indus Valley. So back in Uruk, she gives a guy named Enlil the rule. And Narkar, you're half Anunnaki, and you're the king here. You run things for me. And Enlil sends his son Banda to Harappa, and he's saying, "Listen, our mistress is gone. We're over there with you half the time, and we are in charge. Pay us tribute. My dad sent me, and blah blah blah." What's going on with that? And the king of Harappa said, "Hey, we don't have to do that. Let's trade instead of war. And if we have to fight, let's each choose a champion and let them fight and decide it." Anyway, Banda falls sick on the way back. Inanna finds him and sort of brings him back to life. And Inanna, in the meantime, is half crazy. She's going around thinking that all the guys she hooks up with are DUMUZI. She's getting all confused. And there's Banda. He's almost dying. And so now, unlike most of the men that Inanna favored with her favors, that most of them died, so the story was. And so again, she starts with her thing. She sees this guy Banda. He's recovering from being sick on this gigantic journey, and she makes love with him. And she sees DUMUZI, and she comes to the conclusion that Banda is this DUMUZI reincarnated. Anyway, she makes Banda the next king, and that's her boyfriend. And then she gets the old man in the car. "Hey, it's time for Banda to be king." He says, "Okay, I'll retire. That's cool." Now, Banda and Ninsin have a kid. His name is Gilgamesh. He's the next king in Uruk. And he really upset people. He had the right of the Lord, which is to have access to brides before their husbands did. But usually people didn't exercise it as much anyway. He did it to whatever they considered to be excess, and people were rioting in Uruk. And so Inanna is in charge of this city. And the reason he's being so crazy, partly, is because he has a relationship with Inanna, and that is only once a year. Once a year, she suspends him in a swing, and he's got to penetrate her 50 times without shooting his seed. And if he passes that, then they have all kinds of sexual fun, but it's a seed withholding test. But he can't have her any other time. So I guess that's his excuse for having all the maidens before their husbands. So Enki, as their great creator, has been called on by Inanna and the other Anunnaki. Do something to tame Gilgamesh. He is 3/4 Anunnaki, but Enki said, "Sure, I'll know what I'll do." And so he creates this android. The android's name is Enkidu, and Enkidu is going to tame Gilgamesh. So he isn't just all into having all these maidens, deflowering all these maidens. But first they have to tame Enkidu. And so they send a tantrika. And this is a very important thing in history. The tantrika are these holy tantric women who can tame the beast in humanity. And so there she is, and she's taming Enkidu, who has been running around with the animals. He's some kind of a deer or something. And so Enkidu comes to town. He gets in a fight with Gilgamesh. And then they fall in love, of course. And then they go on a quest together. And what they want to do, Gilgamesh doesn't want to die. He says, I'm 3/4 Anunnaki. Why the heck? I don't want to die. I want to live forever like those guys do. And so together, Enkidu and Gilgamesh see the rockets at Baalbek in Lebanon. And so now they said, we got to get in there. Let's see if we can hitch a ride. I heard in the old days some people got to go, and I want to talk them into long living forever. In the way, of course, they encounter this robo-guard. There's a representation of Enkidu and Gilgamesh killing the robo-guard. And then there's this bull that when they opened the gate, this bull ran out. It turns out it's a mechanical bull. They tear it apart, and they have this great big fight with this mechanical bull, which they destroy too. Well, Inanna has watched this fight between Gilgamesh and the bull from her spaceship, and she says, Gilgamesh, wow, you turned me on, bro. Come be my lover. He said, no way. I heard what happens to people that make love with you. And she gets really mad at him. And she asks her granddad, Enlil Yahweh, do something to this person. He's really harmed me. So Enlil Yahweh kills Enkidu with illness, because that really hurts Gilgamesh's feelings. And then Gilgamesh runs in and goes questing some more. He runs into Noah, who's been alive all these years since the deluge. And Noah shows him where the longevity plant is. And he dives down to this pool and he gets the plant. And he barely makes it up to the surface. And before he can take this live forever plant, the serpent eats it, whatever that means. And when they, who knows? And he never got immortality, so eventually he died. The next big event in Inanna's life, and she's gotten it into all kinds of adventures, but I'm seeing some highlights. Her hybrid half-brother and gardener rapes her while she's asleep. She's in her garden, and she wakes up and he's making love with her. She didn't ask him to, but she liked it. And she says, you're the one's going to lead my armies. And so they fought everybody else in Iraq, and they won, and they built the capital in Agade. It's a representation of beautiful Agade. They beat everybody. They enslaved everybody. They were brutal. So Marduk then comes back into the picture. After he was pardoned, he went to his dad's place in Babylon, and he said, look, I'm going to be a good neighbor. And he diverted all the waterworks so that everybody got the water they wanted, and everything would work, so he thought. But Nergal, who is the guy from South Africa that Inanna had been trying to have a baby with, says, I'll get him out of here. He's our enemy, Inanna. And he says, look, Marduk, there's a lot of these weapons of mass destruction that are hidden in Africa before the flood. And, listen, I'll tell you where they are. I'll look after your stuff here while you're gone. So the story goes. But what happened is, of course, as soon as Marduk split, Nergal just broke everything, and there was floods, and it just a water system run amok. In 2255 BC, Inanna conquered everything. She claimed rule of the earth. Her allies were Nergal and Inanna, that's representation. Nergal ran Egypt, Marduk out of Egypt. And with her, the king of Akkad, Naram Sin, she took the rest of Sumer and she took Canaan all the way up to Jericho. That's a representation of Naram Sin. Okay, so Enlil, Yahweh called in the big gun, his son, the warrior, Ninurta, and he's got cavalry. That's a representation of his ships. He's got missiles that fire from his main fighter that open up into sub-missiles. And basically, as long as Ninurta was there, and also he had trained cavalry, the Akkadians, so that he could be anywhere hundreds of miles, and nobody could withstand him. And there was peace when Ninurta was there. But then he had other jobs. But so that Enlil brought Inanna back. He forgave her for trying to overthrow everybody. And when she got to Uruk, she married this guy named Shulgi. And together, she was ruthless. They killed a lot of people and, again, conquered all of Iraq. The next big thing that happens that affects Inanna and all the Anunnaki is that Yahweh decides he's got to stop Marduk from taking the spaceport and the Sinai from them. He's got to stop that, and he asks his dad, King Anu, Nibiru, can I nuke them? I know where Enki hid the nukes from all the ship, and Anu said, you've got to stop Marduk. We've got enough gold. Let's get our people out of here. We've got the alternate port built at Tiwanaku in Peru. Go ahead and nuke. So you've got to stop Marduk. And also, some of the cities in Canaan have turned against us. Marduk's son Nabu has been agitating among them. So I'm going to send Nergal to get them too. And so that's what happened. They nuked, the Nibirans nuked Sinai and Sodom to stop Marduk. However, the nuclear cloud from them bombing these other guys blew over them in Iraq. So now all of, except for where Marduk was too far to the north and he had fallout shelters anyway, and Enki's place had fallout shelters, but everybody else that didn't get in their spaceships or ships and get out of there, that means the Anunnaki, all the humans, the Earthlings, died, except for those in Marduk's place and Enki's place. The Ninurta's wife, Bao, the princess, the king's daughter, died in Lagash, nurturing the people as they died from radioactive fallout. So Enlil conceded to his dad. He said, look, it's obvious that it is Marduk's time to rule. And so we declare him to now be Earth's main ruler. And we're going to get off planet. And Marduk in Mycenae becomes Zeus. And he's known in Greece and Asia Minor as Zeus. And we enter the era of Marduk ruling things. Inanna next appears in highlights of her life as Aphrodite in the Greek version. She's fighting on the side of Troy and the Anatolians against Greece. And her son, Aeneas, is hurt, and there she is healing him, pouring something on his wound. In the fight for Troy, one of the most amazing things that happened, as far as everybody was concerned, is Diomedes, who was a hybrid, part Anunnaki, part human. actually wounded Inanna, who was regarded as a god by them. And they saw her bleeding. And they realized, oh my gosh, we're just people. And we could actually kill these so-called gods. Now, of course, Inanna didn't die. Hera sent her messenger, Iris, who saved her in the story. So that's the story, a little bit about Inanna, the Anunnaki Wonder Woman. And now let's get our challenge, or Janet, who will tell us, ask us questions and stuff.
Okay, I'm going to stop the share. Okay, so we introduced a lot of characters in this episode. So Inanna how is she related to Anu, her grand?
Let me show. Can I show you that one?
Wait, you have to share again.
Okay, that's the one we.
And do you want to see this?
It's the one with the genealogy. It's up on the fifth one on the. That's it right there. It's that one.
Right there. Okay, let me get that. Okay, there we go.
So if you look at your screen, you'll see that that's going backwards. Inanna is a twin with a guy named Utu. Their father is Nannar, or Allah. Okay, the father of Nannar is Enlil. So that, pardon?
There's Nannar.
Yeah, there's Nannar. Oh, thank you. Enlil, or Yahweh, is the father of Nannar, who's most people recognize as Allah. So Yahweh is the father, and so Nannar was the second child of Enlil, but he was a child of marriage, whereas Ninurta, he had an older brother. So, but when you see Inanna, who we're looking at, so that let's go back through the track. Inanna is the daughter of Nannar, whose father is Enlil. Enlil's father is King Anu. That's the clan. That's the clan that was energized in the sexual ceremony. And what Anu was trying to do was to bring these two sides of his families, the lineage of Enlil and the lineage of Enki, together, so that they wouldn't fight each other. And the logical people to stop them from fighting were only two people. One was this guy Ningishita, because he was the son of Enki, but his mother was a daughter of Nannar. So he was a possible thing. And also the sister of these two, of Enki and Enlil, was the other person in a position to mediate between them, and that's Ninmah. And they were both Enki, Lucifer, and Enlil, Yahweh, were in love with Ninmah.
So Ninmah, she's actually kind of not on the same level.
That's not true.
She is on the same level. She's a full-on sister.
What this shows, the way anthropology works, Anu has three things going from him: one to Enlil, one to Enki, and one to Ninmah. So they're all equal.
There we go.
This is the way we anthropologists draw things, so that these three are equal, and this is the order in which they were born. Two, Enki, and so forth.
First, so
then
So you have Enlil as third born or second born? We're not sure, right?
I think that right now I am not sure at all.
I'm not sure.
All we know is that she was the pure half sister. If either Enki or Enlil would have children with Ninmah, she would, they would be exceptional people. And you can see right there, one of them is Ninsun, who is the mother of Gilgamesh, and all kinds of genius people that have helped humanity.
So then,
so Inanna is the twin of Utu, or Shamash.
And then the green are The females.
The green are the females.
Okay, very interesting. Okay. Anything else you wanted to share before we call it a day?
It's a day.
It's a day. Alrighty, we're going to stop sharing the screen and go back to the screen. There we go. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We are delighted to bring you this episode in our Anunnaki series. And you don't have the books here, huh? We'll have to. No, that's okay. We're not prepared. So we will tell you about our books. We have 5 books in the Anunnaki series. They are Anunnaki Gods No More is the first one.
And then I think the second one was Anunnaki, Legacy of the Gods. The third one is Anunnaki, False Gods. The next one is Marduk.
Anunnaki, Marduk.
Anunnaki came of the earth.
And the latest one is Anunnaki,
Evolution of the Gods.
And we got a couple more in the works. We're going to keep going. Because this is the history of the earth, and the history of the earth and humanity is quite large. Okay, well, I think that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. Stop recording. Aloha, bye-bye. Aloha.